Thanks for joining us. Police say the U.S. Consulate in Toronto was shot at early this morning, a few months after the same building was targeted by gunfire. Police say officers in the area heard a shot near the consulate on University Avenue at 4:46 a.m.
This officer radioed the information and noticed a white late model Honda Accord with no license plates in the area and saw it speeding away from the scene. This information was conveyed to other officers in the area, and officers from 52 Division located this vehicle a short distance away and engaged in a vehicle pursuit. We believe the direction of travel of this vehicle was along Gerrard Street eastbound towards the DVP. It's at this location where the pursuit was mostly engaged, and it proceeded northbound along the Don Valley Parkway at very high rates of speed. Because of the danger posed by the rate of speed of the suspect vehicle, at around Don Mills in the DVP, the pursuit was discontinued as per our procedures. At the scene here, evidence of one single projectile discharge was found, a shell casing, as well as some damage to the front of the facade of the U.S. Consulate. At this time, the Toronto Police Service Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, as supported by the Counterterrorism and Security Unit, is conducting a very active investigation.
The U.S. Consulate has now been shot at twice in the last 4 months. A similar incident took place in March, and 2 people have been charged, although the charges have not been proven in court. Meantime, a shooting Sunday evening in Seattle, Washington has left 3 people dead and at least 4 others injured, including a toddler. The shooting occurred at the annual Bite of Seattle festival. Police say 1 suspect has been arrested and police are searching for another.
At 6:01 p.m., gunshots were heard. We had officers in the area, in the immediate area, when these gunshots went off. Officers responded and addressed one of the shooters. That person gave up and was taken into custody. There was another person that we believe that was also involved that fled the scene, and officers began an active search for that person. There were a total of 7 victims that suffered gunshot wounds at the scene. We have a total of 3 fatalities out of those 7 victims.
People started yelling, shooter, shooter, and there was like a stampede of people just running, knocking down a lot of products from the vendors, etc., and people just ran.
I realized it was semi-automatic. Probably it sounded like a switch. I looked to my left. I saw at least 1 individual with a switch, semi-automatic. I saw another one that was 2. That's when I heard over that those shots fired. That's when I took off around the corner.
There was a guy shot in the leg. 1 female was surrounded by people helping her out. The other one was doing CPR. People were grabbing people, chairs to help them put them up, sit them up.
The yellow blanket for tarp covered up is the victim that died.
Police confirmed Monday afternoon that the 1 suspect arrested is 15 years old. The teen was being held in juvenile detention for investigation of firearms violations and first-degree assault and was due to appear in court Monday afternoon. Sunday was the final day of the annual 3-day food festival. The event draws some 350,000 people each year. Police say they're ending the ground search for an 11-year-old Calgary boy who has been missing for 12 days. Chief Katie McLennan says the police are refocusing their investigation into the disappearance of Parker.
The reality that Parker remains missing is difficult for all of us, especially for his family, who continues to face unimaginable uncertainty. Parker, in many ways, has become one of us, and we won't stop looking to bring him home. We have a responsibility to Parker and his family to follow the evidence and make decisions based on the information available to us. Physical search efforts in his last known whereabouts and in the Nose Hill Park, including nearby waterways, have been completed. However, we are not giving up. Our approach is changing, but our resolve to find answers for Parker and his family is not. We will continue to follow up on tips, re-examine evidence, and pursue any new leads that emerge. If new information identifies an area requiring additional search activity, we are prepared and ready to respond.
Parker is autistic and nonverbal. He walked away from his daycare home in a North Side neighborhood on July the 16th. Police say they don't suspect foul play. McLennan says police won't stop looking for Parker and will focus now on reviewing evidence, following tips and pursuing new leads. An extensive search is underway in southern Alberta's Waterton Lakes National Park after an 81-year-old hiker was reported missing over the weekend. Bob Toothill communicated plans to hike Section A of the Great Divide Trail that stretches about 150 kilometers from Waterton to Coleman, Alberta, in the Crow's Nest Pass. He was last seen at the Row Lakes Trail on July 19th and failed to show up at Crow's Nest Pass by his expected arrival on the 22nd. Toothill might be wearing dark blue shorts or pants, a light blue shirt, and carrying a gray backpack. According to Waterton Park on social media, Parks Canada has concentrated its search effort to a specific section of the national park and is discouraging volunteer searchers as the terrain being scoured is remote, rugged, and can put people at risk. No trail closures are currently in place, and authorities are asking anyone who might have information or was in the area to call 1-855-272-6825 extension number 2. The Gordie Howe International Bridge linking Canada and the United States is now open to motorists. The Howe family led the inaugural crossing, followed by the first commercial truck carrying Ontario-made auto parts into Michigan. The 6-lane bridge is expected to boost trade by easing congestion and offer an alternate to the long-standing Ambassador Bridge. The project was delayed by pandemic-related disruptions and political debate over revenue sharing with the United States. Alberta's UCP government has introduced changes to health care that it says will support earlier cancer detection. The changes announced Monday will allow Albertans to obtain MRI, CT, ultrasound, and X-ray examinations without first getting a referral from a doctor or other healthcare providers.
Beginning July 31st, participating diagnostic clinics will gradually introduce preventative health testing services across the province. Albertans will be able to pay for eligible tests such as MRIs, CT scans, ultrasounds, or X-rays without a doctor's referral. They will be able to contact a participating diagnostic center of their choosing. They may be able to choose their own tests, their own times, and they'll be able to, and just as they've been able to do so since 2011. The difference? There's no need for a doctor's referral, and if these tests reveal a new or previously unknown diagnosis of cancer, Albertans will be reimbursed at the publicly funded rates. And if cancer is detected or suspected, patients will be referred to a specialist for follow-up and for ongoing care.
While the government says this will help people access care sooner, the group Canadian Doctors for Medicare argues this could have the opposite effect. It says there is already a shortage of technicians, and this could exacerbate that workforce shortage by creating financial incentives for technicians to move from the public sector to private pay services. In local news, police say an altercation at a Northside park last week led to a youth attacking a man with a knife. A 14-year-old has been arrested and is now facing numerous charges. BCN's Landon Hickok has the details.
Lethbridge police say it was just after midnight on July 23rd where they responded to multiple 911 calls regarding a physical altercation that occurred at Legacy Park. According to investigators, they described two masked males approached a 19-year-old man at the park, with one suspect pulling out a knife and proceeding to attack him with it. The 19-year-old suspect, who remains unidentified at this time, was with a group of friends at the time and was transported to hospital with serious but not life-threatening injuries, including multiple lacerations. The suspect was identified and police proceeded to cordon off the area as officers searched the park for the suspect. However, they were unable to find him during that time. It was the next day on July 24th when officers responded to a residence where then they proceeded to arrest the suspect without incident. The suspect is reportedly a 14-year-old boy who remains unidentified due to conditions under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Police have charged this suspect with aggravated assault, possession of an offensive weapon dangerous to the public, disguised with intent, and failing to comply with a probation order not to possess any weapons. The second masked male, according to Lethbridge police, is not facing any charges stemming from this incident. All parties, according to police, are known to one another. The 14-year-old suspect remains under custody and is scheduled to appear in court on August the 12th.
Thank you, Landon. LPS on Monday also released information about 3 other unrelated assaults occurring on July 24th and 25th. This results in 4 publicly known assault incidents occurring in our city within 3 days. A 31-year-old man from Taber is facing drug charges after police executed a search warrant at his home last week. Taber Police, Lethbridge Police, and the RCMP together executed the warrant at 7 a.m. on Wednesday at the 6300 block of 50th Street in Taber, where they seized cocaine, drug paraphernalia, cash, weapons, and several vehicles. The suspect, Johan Wiebe Siemens, is charged with possession of a controlled substance for the purpose of trafficking and possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000. He has been released from custody with conditions and awaits a court appearance on August 4th. The voices of residents and industry in Lethbridge County have been heard. The county has released its What We Heard report, highlighting strong support for protecting agricultural land, directing growth near existing hamlets, and creating a clearer, more consistent development rules. The county's manager of planning and development, Kaylin Franklin, says the feedback gathered through the spring survey will help guide future residential growth policies.
Residents also asked for more flexibility in how we use their property, including the support for home-based businesses, hobby farms, and secondary suites. I think the engagement was critical to open that dialogue with everyone. We got over 200 survey responses, which was fantastic to hear from a great breadth of residents within the county, whether it be farm, acreages, living in hamlets. Everybody has a very different lifestyle in the county, and hearing from that was really going to inform how we develop policy going forward. There was a few very candid comments about being purposeful about development, and that was really nice to hear from even residents and industry of they know something, growth is going to happen, but being intentional and very thoughtful about how we do it together is going to be meaningful in the future.
The survey was conducted between February and March of this year. Edmontonians are still recovering from a weekend thunderstorm that forced music fans to flee Commonwealth Stadium. Concert goers eager to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll were forced to take shelter inside the stadium concourse as fierce winds, sideways rain, and hail pelted the stadium. Fortunately, there were no reports of any injuries. The concert was ultimately canceled due to damage to the stage, and attendees were told they would be refunded. The city was hit with more than 30 millimeters of rain in an hour, knocking out power and flooding some areas.
Sean Haney here with RealAgriculture.com. In a major logistics shakeup, 2 of North America's biggest Class 1 railways are pooling their tracks to untangle rail bottlenecks and open up critical cross-border trade routes. CN Rail and Union Pacific have signed a binding MOU to swap key operating rights. Under the agreement, Union Pacific gains access to CN's bypass corridor around Chicago, which is one of the continent's worst freight bottlenecks. In exchange, CN gets vital running rights on the Union Pacific lines from Memphis down to Eagle Pass, Texas, creating a direct gateway into Mexico. For prairie producers, this isn't just about rail efficiency, it's about market access. Shippers moving prairie grain, canola, and fertilizer southward can bypass Midwest congestion and reach Mexican buyers much faster. In a world where trade corridors and supply chain reliability dictate profitability, this North-South partnership gives prairie agriculture a faster, more competitive track to global markets. For Bridge City News, I'm Sean Haney with RealAgriculture.com.
Canada's trucking industry expects the new Gordie Howe International Bridge to speed up cross-border freight, even if shoppers don't see lower prices right away. Canadian Trucking Alliance CEO Stephen Leskowski says the bridge spanning Detroit and Windsor will ease congestion, improve security screening, and offer lower tolls than the Ambassador Bridge, cutting costs for many carriers. Trucking groups are pointing to faster inspection technology at the border, making commercial shipments more efficient. Still, While operators say high diesel costs and ongoing financial pressures mean consumers shouldn't expect immediate price relief. A lumber company in Western Canada is getting a loan from the federal government to cope with tariffs and trade uncertainty. Finance Canada says it's offering $100 million to Miller Western Lumber Products to help the company with near-term needs like rebuilding its log inventory. The company offers 3 lumber mills across Alberta and British Columbia. Canada's forest sector has been hit directly by steep U.S. tariffs, although Finance Canada notes the domestic softwood lumber industry is struggling under the weight of global trade disputes. And now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 199 to 35,568. The Dow was up 262 to 52,210. The S&P 500 was up 1 to 7,413, and the Nasdaq was down 43 to 24,932. West Texas Intermediate Oil was down 862 to 81.84 US per barrel. Natural gas was down 14 cents to 2.73 US. Gold was up 24.40 to 40.7640 US an ounce, and silver was up 41 cents to 58.39 US an ounce. Feed wheat is at $8.35 per bushel. Barley is at $6.60. Canola is at $17.94, and corn is at $7.82 per bushel. Live cattle August contract was down $1.85 to $225.22. Feeder cattle August contract was down $7.07 to $338.25. Lean hogs August contract was up 12 cents to $102.97, and the Canadian dollar was even over the past 24 hours and currently sits at 70.80 US.
Recapping one of today's top stories, Calgary police are calling off the ground search for an 11-year-old autistic boy who has been missing for 12 days. The boy, whose name is Parker, is nonverbal. He walked away from his daycare home in a North Side neighborhood on July 16th. Police say they will focus now on reviewing evidence, following tips, and pursuing new leads. Content. It seems in this digital age, that is what we are hearing lately. More streaming services, more online portals, and they are all screaming for original content. But there are some unique opportunities for up-and-coming content creators, and Indigenous-focused filmmaking is making a splash. Up next, we speak with Farhan Umedali, who travels around Western Canada teaching 5-day filmmaking workshops. You won't want to miss this interview. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website at YouTube, our YouTube channel, anytime to check out more of our content and poll testing questions.